All right, I am live here. I'm looking at these things on the screen. I hope they're not showing up backwards. Looks like they're backwards on this screen. That's kind of weird. Hmm. Seems to be normal on my screen. Let's see how this turns out on the video side once it's recorded. But I'm using a slightly different program. This time I am not using a BlueStacks. I'm actually using the LD player, which is another emulator, to try it out and compare its efficiency as compared to, say, BlueStacks 3. So let's hope everything's working. I am still testing the live broadcasting setups with XSplit Broadcaster, so I'm not totally keen on the requirements or how this is supposed to work exactly, but I'm hoping that it will work. I'm still not sure why this is backwards. That's weird. I don't know if people who are watching are seeing everything like up here backwards because that's what it looks like to me when I click on the screen. On my game, it's all normal. So I wonder if there's something to do with the way the live broadcast setting is on the system. Well, I wonder how it looks when you race. It would be weird if it totally mirror image style. That would make for a very interesting view. Oh, it's easy. Hmm. So the RS5 makes for a pretty easy run all the way to almost at the end here. This is now the last set of runs, uh, which basically allows it to be pretty straightforward. Um, 2.9, 2.206. I didn't really try that hard. I'm not setting up the car specifically for anything. It's just gonna go right through it. As you can see, it's almost at the end of tier 3 here. Let me check again, see how this is looking on the screen here. Um, I don't know if anybody's watching, but can you let me know if this is showing up backwards, if you are watching? Because if that's the case, I may have to use a different program to play, because this LD player may not be showing up right with the capture program. Hmm. Some of this, I'm not sure if any of this stuff is affecting it. Height should not be doing anything funky. All right, so it's not backwards. That's good news. Okay, so now I don't have to play around with all the settings and I can focus a little bit on what I'm doing here. So what I'm trying to do is finish tier 3 here with a RS5 Coupe 2-star. Not fully maxed, but pretty close. It's missing one S6 and so this car is really surprisingly good at sprints. You would think that it wouldn't be, but it both has a high top speed and does well at sprints. So it's been one of the easiest T3 challenges that I've been through. Interestingly, this is the same car I used for Tempest 2 and seems to work great for Tempest 3 so far. So And it's really easy to max. I mean, this is a car you can just buy dealership cars and max it out real fast. So I'm up to almost up to the last few races. I'm going to kind of go through them real quick. And then I'm going to move on to tier two with the box. I said it was very easy to use. The feedback from people was it's not as easy as it looks. Hey, good to have you here. All right, I'm going to try to answer stuff verbally rather than typing because it's just going to make more noise. But welcome to the live stream. So, kind of trying to get through Tempest 3, Tier 3 here. All right, so this is 160 mile per hour. It says it's extreme. It always says extreme. I don't know why, but it always says extreme when it's one of these speed trials. But all right, so this car definitely can beat that 160. You just save the nitrous for a little bit later and just let it build up speed. 168. Again, didn't even have to change the tune. That's what I love about this car. It's really easy to use for tier three. Um, Basically, from the first race to here, even though there are different PP uh, limitations along the way, I haven't had any problems setting it up to get to this point. And again, this is kind of a newer account. It's been played for about at this point. I started in December with this account brand new. So at this point, you're looking at about 6 months. So I don't know. That's showing my ranking from my main account because when I switch between accounts, sometimes it doesn't go away. And that's not even accurate. I don't know why it's showing 341. But this account is actually level 113. So I moved it out of my main crew. So this one is sitting in a crew that basically has very little bonuses. That's why you see that it's very low here with the freshness bonus. All right, so 0 to 60 sprint one more time. Again, it says, well, this one, I may have to adjust the car. It does say it's extreme. That's usually not a good sign. Really good. I think it's a good emulator. Oh, looks like I made it. Keeping my fingers crossed. Yes. All right, didn't have to adjust the car. So the image quality is quite good with the LD player. This is a nice emulator. It runs smooth on my computer, but then again, my computer is a gaming PC with a lot of memory, so both. Ooh, that is the Camaro. That's the Camaro body. I'm not sure that's a good S6, but that's not a bad thing to get. So that's one of the Camaro S6s. I think I'm going to get another one here. Uh, and 20 gold. Jeez. They should really give like 100 here since you use so much for gas all the way. But yeah, Helder, thank you very much for introducing. And I know that the Boss runs a 9.1. This car runs an 8.8. So this car is really hard to screw up onto. You really, you have to try hard not to run an 8.8 with it. Um, so I think I'm pretty safe here as far as getting through T3. Once I collect this to tier two and start the process with the Boxster and with it, nitrous too early. But oh, I didn't hit the nitrous. Good. Oh, this is tight. So I kind of screwed that up. I thought I hit the nitrous early, then I didn't hit the nitrous, but I shifted too early. So I'm not going to do that on the last race, or I'm not going to get the boss car. But um, duplicate, of course. What else is new? Every time. This is the same one I just got 2 races ago. All right, so I got a whole single S6 out of the entire event for this car, and it's a body. I'm not even sure that's a good S6, and that is always the problem with this game, right? You know, I'm going to lose to him. I really want to see what he says when I lose because he's talking so much before a race and you beat him, right? So you don't get to see what he says if you lose. So I'm going to lose intentionally. I want to see what he says. Come on, Rico. All right. So what are you gonna say to me? Let's hear it. Oh, he doesn't say anything. Oh, he does say something. Here we go. Oh, that's all you're gonna say? That's all you got? All that threat, a lot of this too hard. But I thought about letting it, loose here and there just to see what he says. Okay, so 8.8, 9.2. I think boss run 9.1. So as long as I don't do something funky with shift or the nitrous, the boss rate should be no problem too. Okay, let's move on. He'll get his revenge. Sure he will. I don't know. How's everybody else hearing me? Is everybody hearing me okay, or is it coming over kind of crackly and laggy? Because my internet has been acting up the last 2 days too. Part of the reason I didn't even try a live stream last night. The last 2 days. I'm not sure if it's weather related or something else. I don't think it's the computer. It could be the weather and my internet service. Never buy super nitrous. I never used it once all this time, simply because you shouldn't need it. She's supposed to run a 9.1. I'm way ahead of her, so shouldn't be any problem. Voice is good. All right, that's good news. Now again, I think this is all going to get recorded, so it'll probably come over better once it's recorded and it's played back almost like a video. But yeah, I think the stream might be buffering partly because my upload speed from my internet service has been really bad recently. So let's go take a look at the Camaro we just collected. So T3, I think, is probably the easiest out of all the tiers. Well, maybe T5 would be the easiest, but T3 is one of the easier ones out of the five tiers that you deal with. So I just got, I can't remember, Pitas Label Motorsport Camaro. Of course, I only got one S6 for it, and it uses Chevy Fusions, so this car won't get built anytime soon. It's gonna sit for not good. I hope something will get worked out on my end. So maybe we need to think about call my internet provider, see if I can get this thing moving better before I do another stream. All right, let me know if it gets really bad. I can always end it and try it another time, or I just make a video and upload it as a video. But I'm gonna go back now and try to set up this Boxer S. So here's the Boxer S. Mine is pretty much pulled a stage 6 trans recently. Oh, no, missing a body here. All right, so short one there. Oh, short an epic nitrous here. But I got most of the rest here together. So let's take a look at tier 2 real quick. I'm not sure what you try to say there, Helder. You are no sound, not sound. Is there a sound problem coming over on your end? I'm not technically savvy enough to do that. I could barely get a live stream going without crashing it halfway. So you kind of have to bear with me here. Is it possible I can do that? Maybe I can see if maybe I can set up something, but I probably will want to test it. Now, notice I pulled a bunch of Boxster S's over time. Every time I go try for the uh, PC car, I end up pulling one or two 1 stars, and I have a nice collection of these saved. So this is the car I used for Tempest 2. But the problem is this car isn't really fast enough for this one. So I'm going to use this one for the actual event here. So confirm and lock that in. 399 pp is easy to do with the Boxster. Buffering is the problem. I just want to set up the 399 for you guys real quick. I just want to discuss quickly a few of the issues I've seen people run into. One of those is this. If you don't have an S6 nitrous, let's say you only have S5, you're going to have a lot of problems getting through the speed trials for the speed traps. The This car really is heavy nitrous dependent. I actually found a way to get 140 mile per hour without S6 nitrous, but it was really, really hard. And you need pretty much S6 everything else to pull it off. Surprisingly, you actually would want to install engine. Otherwise, basically for this car, you never install any of the engine stages and you never install stage 6 trans. Part of the reason I didn't even bother to install yet to fit the part. But this S6 tire and that S6 nitrous are two of the key S6s you need to get through the entire challenges without a major headache. Otherwise, you'll probably run into problems. I find that people who are stuck, generally because they don't have this one, they're missing S6 nitrous. Now, can you do it without S6 body and all the rest? It's tough, but I think you can. Um, but if you are going without S6 nitrous, it's probably almost impossible for some to get through. So let's say we take out all these S6s, just put it onto S5. It doesn't get you to 399. So you're going to end up dropping some of these all the way down to nothing. And body tend to always carry a lot of PP points. I don't know why, but that being dropped usually gives you quite a few points to play with. And if you drop intake, that'll get you right under. And one stage of intake puts you right at 399. 6 nitrous, I would fit it and drop another stage of tire and get rid of that stage of intake if you want. Right, exactly. S6 nitrous and tire is really the two key ones you need. If you can get those two on the car and you have enough fusions for the most part through. Um, Now I could probably sneak another upgrade in there. It's only at 396, but I personally don't think I'm going to have any problems even at 396 for a good chunk of this. So, you know, to get a better top speed, it all comes down to that. More nitrous duration will get you there. Less nitrous duration will give you a lower top speed and a faster acceleration. So, yeah, if you have a fully built Boxster, you should have basically no problem. I mean, if you look at the Evo points, this is really high at 396, and you're running 10.0 already. I think the final boss run isn't even much faster than a 10.0. So it's really the easiest car to use as long as you have the parts. Um, yeah, the final speed trap. I'll talk about that real quick actually. So let's put the car to the max, right? So let's say I reinstall these parts real quick, and now you have basically the top setup for the car. And if you have the fusions and the nitrous, right? This is the key here. You got this guy here. You should have no problem getting that top speed. Now, this works. You just do this. Yeah, that drops a bit, but look at the dyno. See that? You shouldn't have a problem hitting top speed because you're riding nitrous the whole way. So that is your quarter mile speed. That's well over 140. Um, Now, if you put it down here where it's optimal for acceleration, it actually goes down. Another thing that sometimes people do is, they put too much grip on and that hurts acceleration as well. So usually to get the top speed, the speed trap, you just don't want to have really grippy setup, and then you want to make sure the nitrous is running long enough. Now, let me show you some without S6. Without the S6 nitrous though, things get really hard really fast. If you take this off, Okay, assuming we're setting it up this way right now without tweaking anything else. I think it's 160, right? Is it the top speed 160? It's not 140. It's 160 for the last run. So let's just take a look at this real quick. Your top speed thing is going to be barely 140 here. Um, T2 160 or 140? Can you guys tell me? Or I need to look it up on my sheet. I think it's 160. Let me check. All right, tier 2. There we go. No, it's 140. 140 is really easy. Now, without the S6 nitrous, I'm not mean that. It shouldn't be that easy. I recall without the S6 nitrous, I was having a hell of a time doing this earlier. So right now, when you run it, but this is the problem with without the nitrous duration is you can't activate the nitrous too early because then you have enough to push you through on the end like that. You get stuck right there. Okay, so I could push it to seventh gear, but I think it actually would slow it down. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to tweak the final drive ratio so I can push to 140 without. So let's keep that there. Let's give this down slightly. So 140, 492 is the theoretical. Now, mind you, this is without S6 nitrous, but with S6 tire. If you're missing both, it gets even where it probably is impossible. So again, you can kind of run it a little bit late and hope that it pushes. Nope, stuck at 139. Okay, all right. One more try, because now I have to tweak that final drive ratio one more time. Or I shift into sevens, but when you shift into sevens, the car slows down. So that doesn't help you either. So you want to give yourself just enough to get to that 140, maybe 188. I mean 4.88. Yep, that looks like it may work. So again, nitrous duration has to be long, and you have to use it late and start losing speed, and that'll kill you on the run. So from here, you can just kind of keep an eye on that nitrous there to make sure it hits 140, and then it stays there. That gets you through on the 140 challenge. That is the one I think the most people have problem with is that very end one, and the one right before it because that is a 447 pp, but they require 130 mile per hour. But again, the way to get this car to run is to give yourself more nitrous duration. If you have this, it tops out, and instead of shifting into an extra gear where you're going to start, that'll keep you at the 140. So, and that's done without S6 nitrous. Now, I know I tried this without S6 nitrous prior to this, and it seemed harder. Maybe the other guy, whatever spec he gave me, he must have been missing more S6s than just nitrous. I think he told me he was missing turbo and intake as well. If you're missing too much, you're not going to make it because there's not enough power left in the car to do it. So if you take these two out, okay, now you're going to start having more problems. You'll see it right here. That is going to be tough. So I think that was the issue. When they don't have S6 nitrous and they're missing one or two other S6s, then you're probably really going to be stuck here at this point. Now, you could probably get through um, by kind of playing with the settings. What I did, I think I got one setup where I didn't have S6 here for power, but I ended up putting the engine back in that normally we wouldn't. I put that in just so I can get enough extra oomph in the car to kind of push it through the 140 mile per hour. It wasn't as easy. I'm not going to spend all the time here playing with it to try to show you because I can't remember exactly what I did, but I did get 140 out of the car, missing certain S6s, including the nitrous, but it wasn't easy. Now, that being said, let's say we go back to look at the tire real quick. If you have, let's put engine back to stock because as much as possible, you never want to put this one up. Let's say you have these guys, you don't have nitrous and you don't have tire. Okay, I've seen that. That's another problem for you because that tire, even though you don't want much grip. You want enough grip to accelerate. And if you don't have enough, what'll happen is you get this. So you'll hit 140, but you won't hit it in the quarter mile because your car's not able to grip enough to get there. So what you end up doing is you're accelerating but not quick enough. That's the issue. So you can't hit 140 because you're not accelerating quick enough. And that's where the S6 tire really comes into play. You need that initial grip to get the car rolling. And if you don't have S6 tire and you don't have S6 nitrous, see, this is going to be, yeah. So you run out of nitrous, have enough power to kind of push yourself all the way through because you're spending tires in the beginning. That is the other setup that I realized the Boxster simply cannot make it on. Is if you're missing the tire and you're missing the nitrous, you're going to have a really hard time. I also recently was helping someone who reached out to me. He had a star Boxster, and he said he was stuck at 139 miles per hour at the maximum setting. But what he didn't do was he didn't put engine to stock. So it even works with the no star Boxster. If you put the engine to stock and trans to 5, it actually. Hey Robert, how are you? Yeah, I'm finally trying to stream and it's buffering a bit, so my internet's not cooperating. But as I was saying, if you have trans at 5 and you have engine at 0, you might want to try to do all your tuning with this left here because that makes the Boxster the fastest. Otherwise, what happens is that even though you're putting engine in, you're actually slowing the car down. So the 140 mile per hour again, without tire, without nitrous, and if you're missing even one of the others, potentially you could be facing a very difficult time. If you have all the sixes, pretty much I think you're okay. Now, even if you're missing some of these epics, you know, you got a negative 19 here if you're missing. Now, that may not be that big a deal. So it depends on which ones you're missing. Nitrous are actually always the biggest thing for the Boxster. You want the nitrous. The other thing is if you're gonna build cars, right, on a newer account, let me show you how my garages look. So these are built, these are being built, right? And then you start seeing, starting at about garage 7, see these? Zeros, 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 zeros. Why? Because you're gonna lose a lot of money and waste a lot of money and not be able to build the cars you need to do um, when you build everything that comes along. So a lot of stuff are out there you could build, but you don't want to build them. You just kind of leave them alone. Now, the other thing is when I strip cars, I don't always strip them, as soon as I get them, I tend to just leave them be. Like I was thinking of actually using the 4C because I pulled a bunch of them over time when I was trying to pull PC cars and I pulled a bunch of Boxsters as well. But I built the Boxster first, and it's the more ready car, so I decided to leave it alone. I even pulled a Cayman GT4 before this season's PC car, but again, as you can see, I never built it, I never did anything with it, and I'm still almost broke. So don't build everything you get. You just want to build the ones that actually make sense and works for you as far as if you need it for Tempest or if you need it just for the PC Cup, you build those cars and you leave the rest alone. So T2, I think with the 4C, a lot of people don't realize is that the 4C setup is a little different than other cars, right? You don't set it to the maximum evo point. What you do with the 4C is the 4C runs its best at a very low final drive. And then what you do is just launch the car, shift right into second, and hit nitrous, and it basically does half of its work in single gear and then it'll top out by third gear by the end of the track. At least that's how I run the 4C, and it actually gets its best time and also its best top speed that way. And much like the Boxster, if you keep the nitrous up a bit, you can then run a much better top speed, which means you can get through most of the challenges without an issue. So the 4C is a great car for this as well. But for the Boxster, I think even if you set it to 396. I was showing in my original video on the tier 2 choices. If you set it to 396, you still won't have much of a problem getting through uh, with the Boxster to just beat the initial challenges. What did I forget here? Something. It's not set up right. That's why I'm not hitting that. I'll just take that off. There we go. So I might be able to sneak the stage 5 tire back on, but I don't think so. No. Right. So 396 is fine. It'll get right through without any issues at 390. So let's just take a race or two, and then I'll call it a night around 11. We've got about 10 minutes here. So I don't know how much you guys like to read this stuff. I don't think the banter is all that interesting, but bottom line is the boxers so outclass the cars at this point that if you look at the top of the screen, I'm like half a track ahead of the other car. It's almost silly how easy it is in comparison to what the target challenge is. So I'm running 9.9. That's a 12.7. I think at the end, what is summer 10.1, right? 10.1 is the final boss challenge time. So it's 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 kind of silly how easy it is. That's why a lot of people, when you ask on Facebook, they immediately say, "Oh, just use the Boxster." But you got to keep in mind, just using a card doesn't mean that it'll automatically do the job. You still have to have the parts for it. You got to have the fusions for it, and that's where I think a lot of people get stuck because they only hear the car and they forget. Oh yeah, no doubt, Robert. T1 was ridiculous. I am trying to get that Eclipse to the point where I can use it in T4. And I've already tested it, and I think that Eclipse will do T4 without a problem because it both hits the 260 without. And right now, the hard part is I still got to get it built enough to hit that 1.494. That that's also very doable with the Eclipse just by adjusting the final gear ratio. You play with it a little bit like you do with the NSX. So I don't have a built NSX on this account. I actually started building the LB NSX, but the LB, the problem is I have three S6s, but no nitrous, no tire. So it's going to be kind of iffy for that purpose. All right, so 0 to 60 sprint. Uh, Boxster is a accelerating car. You should have no problem with Brent. If you do have a problem with it, you probably have the car set up wrong, or you just forgot to hit nitrous altogether. As long as you can kind of get through both the speed trials and the speed trap trials and the sprint trials, the rest of it seems like natural motion didn't make it too hard. It's the target time were pretty reasonable. What's better for T4? Um, the only car I know of, I mean, I don't have some of the other cars that can definitely beat T4 without it changing cars is a near maxed or maxed NSX. You got to have certain parts for it too. Like you can miss maybe one S6 or two, but you need something that can do 260 mile per hour and something that can hit 1.494 at max setting for 0 to 60, which I think that sucked more. The sprint for 1.494 really sucks um, for T4 because the cars that can do it, like the Sylvia, even the GT 350 can do a 1.4 easy, but good luck hitting 260 with either of those cars. I couldn't even get them to get past 220 at 260. I'll jump off of here in a second to show you. So a lot of these heat trials for the Boxer and T2 is pretty easy. Yeah, Robert, that's the car I was about to show him. That 2017 GTR can do it. Uh, Mine, unfortunately, is a elite car on this account because when I first started playing this account, I was the PC car one season, and that was one of the few cars I was able to build up because it was a PC car. And subsequently, when I started, hello, it's not moving. Uh-oh, I'm stuck. Let's go back first. No, Shax doesn't get any. Oh yeah, it's not working. How about that? All right, so emulator's failing me on this. Let's try to do the garage this way. Back in the day for Tempest 2, and then I built the other one because I build them off of dealership stuff. It's very easy to kind of use this car now. So Here's the GTR. Now, this particular GTR has all the S6s, but it's missing a bunch of fusions. Let me see what I'm missing here. I know. Oh, so the scrolling's not working with my mouse now. Wonder why the emulator's doing that. Let me see. Hmm. Well, that seems to work. Oh, this I just click on it. Sorry, having one of those days. All right. So I know I'm missing some. Yeah, here we go. Intake. I just didn't get many intake. Turbo I did get. Engine I got. So this car's pretty close to maxed when I finished it. Now, Nissan Fusions, again, it's pretty easy to get. You just keep buying GTRs from the dealership. So only turbo and rest, no, it won't hit 260 with that. It needs those S6s to do it. Um, I was actually playing around with this, I think trying to get the best 0 to 60. That's why you see this really miserable uh, evil point here. So 260 is right there, right? The thing is, I have the tire sit here. You put the tire back up to something like that, put the nitrous somewhere around here, and voila. No, 199. No good, right? Do I have do I have everything installed? Let's see, 636. Probably not. I think I have it at a lower PP rating. Hold on. Oh no, I don't have everything installed. I lowered it to 636. So let me refit these. So without all the S6, it's gonna be tough. It depends on which ones you're missing. Like if you're missing one intake, you pretty much have everything else. You should still be able to do it, but it's gonna be tight what we can get. 255, right? 250, but really, you should be able to get 260 just by kind of playing with the nitrous right. Now I can adjust the nitrous a little bit to see if it pushes it up or down. So longer is still better as far as getting. So 255 is what the computer's telling you you can do. 256, but if you run the nitrous a little bit late, I think you can get 260 out of this car without a problem. And that right now we're short one intake at 6. I'm trying to just get through. So the power gear for this goes like fourth and fifth. There you go, 262. No problem. I think you're not going to do it. Right, that's a nice setup right there. 7.7, final drive 2.94, 50s 44. That would definitely do it. Again, you know, we're all going to be a little different depending on what our final car settings are. Some of us may have certain S6s, others do not. You may be missing fusions on one part and not the other. So let's say, what was the question before was saying, can you do it with just stage 5 and only turbo? My answer to that, I still think is it's not possible. Not with the GTR. It just doesn't have enough. You need that nitrous. You need the lighter body. You're gonna probably need the tire too. I mean, I can try it with the stage 5 here, but you really need enough power to pull it off. So if you have one turbo S6, that's just I don't think that's gonna even come close. Yeah, see, you lost like 10 miles per hour, and that's even if you drive it differently, and let's say we adjust the final drive a little bit, even if you do that, it's gonna be really hard to hit that target number with that much power missing. So you need those S6s. So the GTR really has to be close to max to pull that 260 mile per hour. And that's you could probably pull it off with just two or three or maybe three or four S6 will definitely pull 260 with an NSX, but not with the GTR. The GTR, unfortunately, you need a lot more upgrades to pull that off. So that's the but I deleted it, so therefore I can't do anything with it. Um, but this card in combination with one of the other cards could definitely do it. You can combine it with, say, the Ford GT350, the Nissan Silvia, hell, even the Aston Martin Vanquish. That'll do a 1.494 0 to 60, no problem. That was my go-to car for tier Tempest 2, tier 4. I'm pretty sure that car is in one of the. Wait, is that? No, that's that Miata. I hate that thing. Let's see. Let's see if it's in the next garage. It's. I know I put it up near the front because pretty decent. Oh, there he is. So this is my go-to car for Tempest 2. And if you have one of these because you went through Tempest 2, you could use this in combination. Uh, Ghibli Q4. That's a good question. I don't know. I know that the look at that 0 to 60 right there. That's what I'm talking about, right? You got this car for the 0 to 60. You got the other car for the 260 mile per hour. You still make it through. The GTR actually will do. I think that's what I was playing with too. I want to show you guys that real quick while I'm thinking of it. The GTR will do most of the 0 to 60 challenge in Tier 4 up to the 658 pp, which is actually not that hard. At that level, the target number is a 3.049 0 to 60. And this is for 658 pp, right? So 658, you can bump up, you can bump trend back up probably. No, I know one of these you could probably bump back up for. Now you're going to want stage 6 tire for the 0 to 60 challenges. And then you can always drop stage a turbo to kind of get it. So maybe I'll leave that alone. I'll drop this. All right. So this one for 0 to 60, it is possible. The Nismo, yeah, I don't think the Nismo is going to cut it. All right. So this is one of those where you're trying to do 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. Now you can try to do it with 2 gears like this. I usually try that first, and then you kind of take a look at what the 2.6, right? The target number is a 3.049, so that doesn't make it too hard. So the Nismo, not the Nismo, now you got me talking Nismo. The 2007 GTR can get you all the way through T4 up to the last 10 races, and that's where you're going to end up switching cars. That'll cost you 400 gold. So, I mean, that's not terrible. If you have this car, you have the one of the other fast cars, 400 gold, it's tolerable. Um, and if you really, really want to finish, I mean, that's one way to do it. The 0 to 60 with this setup right now, you just kind of launch it and hit nitrous and shift right to second. So it kind of goes like, boom. That should do it. That's under 3, otherwise it'll be kind of embarrassing. But basically, once you launch, you try to launch perfect. You let it spin a little bit, and then nitrous in second will usually get you a pretty decent 0 to 60. So that'll get you right. 100 is tougher. 0 to 100, you have to 7.8. Obviously, I didn't make it there. So that's going to be a little more challenging because it's right now at 4.412. I think I was playing with that. I don't remember how I did. I believe I did it this way for 0 to 100. So you want fourth gear, okay? You still want the nitrous, and just ignore the Evo because it's already a 4.0. So now it's a matter of whether you can drive it enough to get it right to 100. It's tough. It's doable. It's tough. The 3.780 to 100, I think I was struggling with a little bit while I was trying to figure this car out as an option for Tier 4. But I probably want to drive it something along this, and that'll most likely give you the best run you can out of your 100. I'm still playing with that, but I'm pretty sure it's doable because it's 3.780 and you're already starting on a 4.0. That didn't quite do it. So that was the one. You may have to switch a car again too, but I think it's doable though. I just need to get my head around what I'm not doing right here, but I'm pretty positive that 3.7 with the GTR. It may require you to actually think differently about grip versus power, but it's going to be tricky. reach the 190-mile speed zone of T4. Are you talking about T4? That is at 625 pp. You're talking about T4 with this car, right? That shouldn't be hard. McLaren's, oh yeah, McLaren 720S, absolutely. Have parts. You gotta have, enough. You gotta have enough of the sixes, or you don't really need that much. The McLaren runs sevens maxed. Okay, even with just one or two S6s, it'll run under. I think with three S6s, it'll run under 8, so it'll beat the whole T5. So yes, and Tempest 2, it'll just be no problem whatsoever. The McLaren would crush T2. Um, oh, the LB GTR. No, I can't. My feeling with the LB GTR is that it's not going to make those speed traps. Not at 625. It won't do it. This car will do it. The 2017 will do it, but not the LB. The LB definitely won't cut it. So, oh, 1-1. Yeah, that's another 7-second car. So basically for T5, if you have a car that, if you look at the speed chart on Facebook that people post, and if the car can do sevens, and you know that the target at the end of T5 is only like a 9, what was it, 9.1 for Harkness's car. So that means you have a almost a 1.4 second gap between the maxed car of a 1-1 versus a regular um, a regular car that you need to use to beat 9.04. There you go. So if your car can easily beat nines without being maxed, it should be able to do it anyway. And once you have like 4 or 5 of the S6s, decent amount of fusions, one of those really fast cars would easily be able to do the job. So let me just kind of uh, wrap this up for now, because it's getting late and I don't want to keep waking up my son from his attempts to sleep. So for T3, very easy. The RS5 did the job, no problem. T2, I think I'm going to be focused on the Boxster S, but as you can see from just a little bit of playing with it, it hits all the target numbers without much of an issue. And I really don't think I'm going to have a problem with it, especially since mine has all the parts. If you don't have the parts, and I can't emphasize this enough, if you don't have the parts, you don't have the fusions, there's no tune that's going to magically tune a car without parts. It's not, this game doesn't work that way. The way this game works is you got to get the parts, you install it, and then you can tune it. If you don't have parts, I don't care how good you're at tuning, you're not getting through certain challenges because the car just isn't ready. So before you lock in a car, and I see this happen all the time with newer players, is before you lock in a car, really evaluate it, test run it, you know, play with it a little bit to see where the car's at before you lock it in. Because if your Evo points, and Evo points determines how fast the car can run. If your Evo points are really low at a given PP level, the car's not ready. Don't use it. If your car is basically full on fusion, basically has 5 out of 7 S6s, and you think you got all the good ones, then that car is basically ready to go. Tempest is not meant to be so hard that you must have a fully maxed car, but you shouldn't be trying to run it with a car that barely has any parts. And for example, the mono, this is another good one for T5. It'll do T5 no problem. My problem is, of course, I had to elite it to get my tier 3 license. So my goal is to use the VX 570 VX for T5, which I have set aside for a while now. That car's ready for this account. So again, this is a level 114, about 6 months of gameplay, and I don't play this account primarily. You can tell from the rep points. This is my kind of like mess around account. So you can do it without uh, spending a ton of money, as long as you're focused. You need to be in a milestone crew because you won't get cars like this half the time. We got lucky they gave this as a PC car, but a lot of good cars, 5 stars, are milestones. So you want to be in a milestone crew. This way you can collect those cars and eventually build them. But as I indicated before, don't build everything that comes along, because you're going to spend too much money and then you're always going to be broke and you can't keep up anyway. So I'm going to try to come out for another live stream in the near future, which I'm gonna actually run this car all the way through tier two. Uh, oh, tell me about it, Robert. The Fusion for mono is really hard to get. Fortunately, mono has that funky tune and setup where you basically run it with almost no upgrades and it still does okay. In fact, that's how I ran it until the mono became a PC car, and then finally I was able to upgrade it using the bronze key and everything else that you gain. So, well, um, I hope everybody got some good information during this live stream. I'm going to try to share more information. Uh, the question is, can the Continental GT3R beat Tempest 3 T5? Uh, hmm, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I haven't played with mine, but now that you turned me on to the idea, I'm going to go to my main account and test it out on the GT3R, and I'll get back to you on that. Probably post a question for me on the channel or on Facebook so I don't forget. All right, Robert, thanks for coming into the live stream. And thank you, everyone, for coming and watching. I hope the buffering got better, but no, it may not be too bad. If it does 8.7, it's probably doable. Um, so thank you for watching and have a good night. I'll catch you guys next time.